What would you do for an extra $24,000 a year? Would you jump off a 20-meter high diving platform, drive a 1979 Yugo to work for the whole year, or eat something absolutely disgusting every night for dinner? I don't know. What about getting chipped? Having a microchip installed in your right hand? Oh, that sounds like something right out of an end-of-the-world movie. But that is exactly what the World Economic Forum and major world banks are proposing. And they're planning this like just in a couple years, not in the distant future. This is Bible teacher Nelson Walters, and no, this isn't a Mr. Beast challenge video, but a reality, like we said, that will be likely coming to your neighborhood in 2 to 3 years. Are you ready to face that decision? Keep watching this video till the end for our suggestions on what to do, because this is being rolled out sooner than you think. And knowing what to do now is key. That, of course, is why you watch this channel, for deep analysis of biblical prophecy and how it's being fulfilled in the world around us. And most importantly, what we should be doing about it and where we can find our hope in all these things. That's why this channel exists, so let's get started. Digital currencies in the news. The USA just rolled out the FedNow digital currency back in July. Kind of quietly. I don't hear a lot of that on the news, but they did it. But when people hear about digital currency, central bank digital currency, they don't usually think about microchips. They usually think that maybe it's an app on your phone. But the digital currency plans that the governments of the world and the central banks like the Federal Reserve in the USA and the World Economic Forum, their plans don't stop there. Yeah, they're planning on eliminating cash and going to a programmable dollar that will be able to control what they allow you to spend money on. And it will be only on their approved products and only in places they allow. We've reported on that in this channel before. And of course, that's bad enough, but their plans go much deeper than that. From what they've announced, they want these chips in your right hand, but they realize that, they're probably going to have to pay you to get them. And that's where that $24,000 a year comes in. Very few people will voluntarily take a chip like that. I mean, even non-believers know the mark of the beast has always been associated with a microchip, and it is an incredible invasion of privacy, tracking, and possible control. In ancient Israel, bondservants were pierced in their ears as a sign of eternal slavery. And his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall be his slave forever. Exodus 21:6. And there's an element of getting a chip in your hand that is very similar to this earring piercing ceremony in the Bible that will mark someone as a bondservant of the system. They will know where you are at all times because this chip would track you. And chips, according to the National Library of Medicine, can be designed to release drugs or hormones embedded secretly in polymers within the chip. This release then could be triggered by electromagnetic waves. They could send a signal and the chip would release the drug into your system. These hormones or drugs then could impact your moods or your reactions that kind of border on mind control. So when you look at it from their perspective, there are a lot of advantages to their system of having everyone chipped. And that is a horrifying scenario if they stealthily add these extra functions to the chips. When I think about microchips, I also think about Jesus' teaching about cutting off your hand if it causes you to sin. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than your whole body go into hell. That's Matthew 5:30. Part of the Sermon on the Mount, actually. Now, traditionally, this has been a very strange teaching of Jesus's that absolutely everyone has considered to only be a metaphor. I mean, Jesus couldn't mean you would actually cut off your hand, would you? And how could your hand cause you to sin? It's your heart and your mind and your eyes that cause you to sin, not your hand. Your hand might do the sin, but it doesn't cause it. But now, in the modern world, if this chip is in your hand, it literally could cause you to sin by the release of drugs or hormones from a chip. And did you notice? Jesus specifically said it was your right hand. Very, very mark of the beast. Now, a chip in and of itself is not the mark of the beast, but it is probably the last precursor of that coming system. Let's look at Revelation 13:16 through 17, where the mark is discussed. And it, and by that it means the false prophet, causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, notice they're slaves, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. That is the name or the number of its name. That number, of course, is the infamous 666. In order for a chip system to be the mark, you can see that there are a couple things that have to be in place. There has to be a false prophet who creates it, and a beast, he has to be present. It is the mark of the beast. And the name or the number of the beast have to be added to you as an external physical mark. So initial rollouts of a chip likely won't have these features, but they will help set up the world for the mark of the beast potentially. Now, if everybody has a chip, it's rather easy for the beast to transition the chip that's already inside people to the mark when he takes power. Mystery Babylon, the one world system in Revelation 17 and 18, will likely be the one, in our opinion, that initially implements and enforces the chip system. At least that's the way it appears right now. And in Revelation 17:16, we see that the beast is eventually going to revolt against Babylon and take power. It is then he can transition the chips that are already inside of people to the mark of the beast. But the first stage is to get most people chipped so they can be transitioned later. The plan is to pay people to take it. You've heard about universal basic income, a base amount of money given to everyone, which is a feature of the Great Reset. You probably have heard about that. They're actually proposing $2,000 or 2,000 euros a month that everybody would get. And that would be on top of what you earned, a bribe, so to speak. A bribe to do what? Well, what they're not telling you, at least directly, is that it's likely going to be tied to getting a chip. An RFID microchip. They've been planning this for a while. It's not new, but they're quiet about it because chips are so unpopular. Let's listen to this video from World Economic Forum whistleblower Richard Werner, who used to be a young global leader for Klaus Schwab. Listen to him talk about microchips and what he was told the World Economic Forum plans are.
And what people don't mention is, what do these CBDCs actually look like? At the moment, there's a bit of talk about this being phone-based apps. And yes, that is the initial phase. But what was already ready around 2015 is the ultimate goal, what they really want. Apparently, I was told by a central banker, is, CBDCs looks like a small grain of rice that they want to put under your skin, which is, in my view, a violation of human dignity. And they realize there is a hurdle. So to get people to accept this, there will be, why suddenly all the billionaires saying, let's have universal basic income? Because the story is going to be, now we've created this vast unemployment and disruption and crises. Well, we need universal basic income. You will get 2,000 euros into your account every month. But of course, to run this efficiently, we need to use the latest technology. So, you need the CBDC chip implant.
That is to start out digital currency on your phone and an app, but then to transition them to chips in all people. And in 2016, in a foreign language film, Klaus Schwab himself discussed this exact thing, including brain implants. Follow the captions, as this is not in English, but it's very worthwhile watching.
Aujourd'hui, au bout de ça, on parle de puces qu'on pourra s'implanter. Ce sera quand ça?
Certainement dans les 10 années à venir. Et d'abord, on va les implanter dans nos vêtements, c'est-à-dire wearables, comme on le dit. Et après, on pourrait s'imaginer qu'on les implante dans nos cerveaux ou dans nos topos. Et à la fin, peut-être il y a une communication directe entre notre cerveau et le monde digital. Ce que nous voyons, c'est une sorte de fusion du monde physique, digital et biologique.
Now, in 2016, everyone would have laughed at Schwab for saying these kind of things. But after Charlie OID19er, you like how I said that? I think everyone has an eerie conspiracy theory sense about all kinds of things. And this is much more than just a theory. This week, the International Bank of Settlements, a major international bank, released a statement on how the central banks are not only planning to take away cash and physical money, they are also planning on creating digital tokens for all your physical goods. Yes, you heard me right. In place of your deed for your house, they plan to create a digital token that says you own your house. In place of an owner's card for your vehicle, you would have a digital token. If you own gold, they will require you to receive a digital token for the gold you own. What if you don't want a digital token, like I don't want one, as proof of ownership? Well, the implication was that they would tokenize your house, car, computer, phone, gold. They would do this themselves anyway. And I am assuming, they didn't say it, but they would own those things. Which, of course, is their stated end game anyway. Remember, World Economic Forum says you will own nothing, and you will be happy. Well, I always say you will own nothing, and they will be happy. I think that's really what it should be saying. So how likely is it that this will happen? Through a token system that eventually transitions the ownership from you to them. A token might be the first step. By digitally recording and listing all the assets in the world in a single database. Once they're recorded, they can later be transitioned, the ownership can be transitioned from you to them, and you would own nothing, just like they said. I would imagine that 99% of the people of the planet will not want to have digital tokens created for their house, car, computer, phone, etc. But it's likely you won't be given a real choice. And if you're caught with illegal money, like gold or silver, or an illegal asset like a car, things that you haven't tokenized, it will probably be a crime, much as black market transactions are today. They will be considered stolen assets, stolen from the central banks, and jail time or other punishments will probably be likely if you try to do those things. They are also planning to have digital currency have an expiration date. Yes, maybe this is the first time you're hearing that, but it's what they're planning. A spend or lose it system. Digital money can be programmed after all, and it can be programmed to expire. Both the World Bank and the USA's Federal Reserve websites both discuss their wanting to do this. And China's digital yuan, they have a digital currency already, it already comes with a built-in expiration date. In that system, there would of course be no savings because your money is worth less and less and less every single day. Can you see how that would dramatically end your independence because you couldn't put money away for a rainy day in a system that has no assets, because they'll own them, and no savings? People would be completely dependent on their monthly universal basic income. You know, the 2,000 euros or $2,000 that they're going to give you every month. So it appears to me that once the independence of people is reduced to nothing, no house, no car, no savings, no gold, etc., that's when they're going to introduce the chip. That's what the whistleblower said, and everything we see in the world today and in these websites is pointing in that direction. So where is the hope for believers in a system like this? There's wonderful hope, but not hope that you will keep your house or money. Remember, our hope lies in the return of Jesus and his kingdom, not in things of this world, but they will almost certainly take away from you: houses, cars, money, etc. So, as we go through this time of suffering, we can keep our eyes on the day that Jesus returns. Always keep that in the front of your mind. You know how in the old country western songs, a singer would lose his wife, his house, his dog. So the joke is, what do you get when you play a country song backwards? You get your wife back, you get your house back, you get your dog back. And although that's a joke, it's no joke that at the return of Jesus, we get everything back that we've lost. We'll live in the New Jerusalem. We'll have houses like you've never believed. Jesus will reign in righteousness. The governments of this world will be swept away, and the ones responsible for all of this, he will punish. Second, we can have hope if we stop valuing the things of this world. 1 John 2:15 and 16. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh, the desires of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not from the Father, but from the world. So, if we place our value in houses, cars, jobs, etc., we're placing them in the wrong place. And I think you know that intuitively. And the globalists are most likely going to use people who love these things by taking these things away from them, and then they're going to be able to manipulate them and get them to fall away from the faith, actually. So in order to overcome these trying times that are coming, begin to devalue these things in your mind. If they take these things away and they aren't of value to you anymore, they have a whole less power over us. And third, consider putting away food, flashlights, lighters, camp stoves, water filtration straws, blankets, etc. now. Once cash goes digital, you won't probably be able to buy these things as easily. Survivalist items in particular will be limited. And of course, at some point, it is likely all of us will need to decide if we're going to go off the grid and refuse the chip, knowing that eventually the chip is going to lead to the mark. And sooner or later, we will be facing having to come out anyway. God's word says to come out prior to the beast forming. Revelation 18:4. Come out of her, my people, lest you take part in her sins, lest you share in her plagues. But if you think you might take the chip right up until the time it morphs into the mark of the beast, just get that last little bit before you get to that point. It's very important that you know exactly how to identify the mark from its precursor, the simple chip. Click right here to keep watching and see everything that must be in place for something that looks like the mark to truly be the mark. Till then, this is Nelson, and I'll see you there.